I'm Abby Jansen. I work for an organization known as the Nile Basin Discourse.
Okay. And what is the Nile Basin Discourse doing?
It's a civil society network comprising of 1,200 organizations within the 10 Nile Basin countries.
Yes, my name is Frank Moramuzi. I am the director of Nappy. Nappy is the National Association of Professional Environmentalists. It is a Ugandan national NGO. We do advocacy. We advocate for sustainable development, for sustainable use of natural resources.
My name is Joshua Angelei. I am the director of the Friends of Lake Turkana. We work along the Omo Turkana Lake Basin. That is the Omo River Basin, with the communities there, which is in Ethiopia, and the Lake Turkana Basin, which is in Kenya, and all the communities around the Lake Turkana Basin.
Yeah, my name is Ken Kinney. I work for the Development Institute, which is a human security and environmental security NGO working in Ghana and has African outlook.
My name is Pieter Simi. I work for an organization called Environmentalist International, ELCI, based in Nairobi, Kenya.
Can you shortly explain what a negotiated approach is?
Yeah, you are talking about a dialogue where there is a conflict over a resource. The resource could be water, could be a forest resource, could be any other resource, an ecosystem. So if there is some conflict over that resource, then you need to get the parties together. You need to have a facilitator, for example, that can facilitate that dialogue.
You now attended a meeting about negotiated approach. What does that say to you, this negotiated approach?
Yeah, negotiated approach is really an approach that can be used for resolving natural resource management issues, especially focusing on the fact that natural resource benefits not only governments, civil society or communities and businesses. So negotiation approach creates a platform to be able to bring all these stakeholders together, and because they have various interests, each of them would be looking at how best to protect his interests. So in the process there will be a trade-off of a win-win solution which is good for the environment. Then all of them can join hands to be able to ensure that the resource is sustainable, either forest, either water, either biodiversity.
And for me, it's an issue of climate change. It's a reality, it's with us. But with sound management of resources, like, for instance, now that we're referring to the Tana, sound management will actually help further, address the issue of sharing of resources which are dwindling. And this is where the negotiated approach actually can actually make a difference.
We're sitting here aside Victoria Lake. And your organization is working on lake issues as well.
Yes.
What could you tell a bit more about? Well, what are the threats that Lake Victoria is facing? How do you try to solve the problems that people have?
Lake Victoria is actually within the Nile Basin, and we work very closely with the Lake Victoria Basin Commission, which is now mandated to protect the Lake Victoria. The Lake Victoria is facing a number of challenges. The water levels have been going down because, we haven't really taken care of the biodiversity around Lake Victoria.
The level of water then and the level of water now is appalling, because there's one resort that you had to take a boat actually to go to this resort, and you could see the level of water, which was almost at at the base of the hotel.
Dying River, the first image is a river that takes its source from Togo and runs through the Atakra Mountain or Ghana-Togo range and travels all the way into the Volta Lake. And most of the areas are degraded.
Okay.
Yeah.
The fishing is really going down, and it has been over-extracted. We had the problem of hyacinth, which came and caused a lot of damage, especially in Kenya. We had issues of pollution. We have issues even within the Nile, whereby people are still arguing of whether we should abstract water from Lake Victoria or not. And most of the communities around Lake Victoria believe that they don't have the right to take that water because Egypt will get into war with them. So there are also issues around poverty around the communities, and they are relying purely on rainfall.
I was brought up and grew up in the basin, and if I look back within the last 30 years, the basin has been totally degraded. There are all kinds of, there's no real control and regulation, and so people are building close into the waterway, people are farming into the waterway. All the patches of forest that used to be around the entire basin has been totally cut down. So I felt passionate about it because it's a source of livelihoods for people.
There's a very high prevalence of HIV because the women wait for the fishers to come and they exchange fish for sex, and that really causes a lot of young girls to die, drop out of school. So those are some of the major social challenges we've been facing around Lake Victoria. And to address this, we've been working very closely with many of the civil society organizations within Lake Victoria to be able to empower the communities, to be able to, first of all, understand what are the current challenges and develop a vision for themselves.
Because as a civil society, we are the ones who are on the ground. We are the ones who are in contact with the people. And it's the people whose livelihoods are actually derived out of the resources that they live.
If you're talking about maybe a young girl within Suba, which is also within Lake Victoria, who, when you ask her, what is your ambition? And they say, I just want to be like my mother. You help her to think maybe beyond that and maybe think about bigger visions so that she can be able to come back and change her community.
It's the communities who live with these resources, and the government's aim is to conserve for tomorrow. But how do you trigger off the process if the people who live around those resources are not empowered or are not involved? So there's been this general sense of communities feeling that the obligation of conserving is not up to them, it's up to the government. So, if maybe a catastrophe occurs, communities actually, you would commonly hear, we're appealing to the government, or why didn't the government do this? Yet the power is within their hands. Yeah.
The Bujagar Dam is a hydroelectric dam situated on the eastern Uganda on River Nile, almost at the source of River Nile on Lake Victoria, and it is supposed to produce 250 megawatts of electricity for Ugandans. According to the proponents of that dam, they are saying that they will produce that electricity to benefit Ugandans, but for us we are so skeptical because there is not enough water to produce the 250 megawatts. That dam has cost a lot of money. You'll need much more water, and then once you get much more water from the lake and from the river, then you have the ecosystems in the river and in the lake being hampered, and that has been our concern in terms of environment, but also the people have been affected so much. Some of them have never been compensated because where they were living, their land and all that has been submerged and taken by the dam operations, and those are facts. And recently, the government officials, the ministers have said yes, what we are saying is correct. They found that what we are raising are correct facts.
And then this means that they do not further continue with the construction of the dam, or?
No, they have ignored.
Negotiated approach. It's based on two entities dialoguing, negotiating to reach a common cause, or to reach a middle ground on an issue.
The added value for negotiated approach is that from the onset you are thinking about how to bring everybody on board, how to bring policymakers on board, how to look for knowledge institutions, research institutions, how to be able to look for the traditional knowledge and all the local knowledge, and how to in fact resolve issues of resource management from bottom up. So for us, it is a new addition to what we normally know.
You think that it's a new instrument, or do you think negotiated approach is a thing that you already are practicing?
I think it's something we are practicing, I would say, in a short scale, in small scales, but we've been having difficulty on how to do it because it's not been that effective. So I'm seeing this training as really helping the Nile Basin Discourse to be able to be more effective in what they've been doing, because what we've been doing is something much smaller, a smaller scale way of actually getting feedback from the community, but we need something more institutionalized, something which is more sustainable, something that is not driven by us, but is actually driven by the community. So I think that's what I really liked, and that's something that I learned here, that we can actually have the communities driving the process, which makes it more owned and more sustainable.
Our most successful endeavor, which has actually yielded quite tangible results, is when there was a change of regime in Kenya. That was in 2002. ELCI initiated this dialogue, and we were able to bring all stakeholders, including arms of government, to sit within these discussions.
So in the next 5 years, I would want to focus more on how do we reach out to the communities to be able to amplify their voices within our work, and to help them to be able to be more proactive in managing their own resources.
We were able to come up with a draft, which was to be discussed at national level, and our views were actually taken in, and the government came up with a piece of legislation that they call subsidiary legislation, whereby you have the existing legislation, but these are provisions for more input to be put into the main document. And I could say it yielded very good results.
In one sentence, what means the lake for you?
Life.
Thank you.
River means life to me.
I would say river dine is the lifeblood of the people in Jansen district, Hohwe district, Bando district, and South Dine district. Without this river, there can't be any productive activity. There will not be there will not be potable water, and there will not be water for production, especially in the face of climate change.
This land is my land, this land is your land, from Ruwenzori to Karamoja, from Lake Victoria to the western border. This land belongs to you and me. Papillon.